Hey everybody, welcome back to The Beard and the Bald. I am Paul Shirey, the Beard, joined by my compatriot, the Bald, Christopher Bumbray.
Well, hello, Paul.
Well, hello, Chris. We've actually been talking for 3 hours already, so we are nice and warmed up.
Paul and I are going to see each other in person in a week.
In about
or so.
a week? Yeah.
Meaning that we're not sure exactly when the next installment of The Beard and the Bald is going to drop, though, because we won't be able to do it, I don't think, on next Saturday or Sunday, because you'll be in Sundance, but maybe we'll record something that week.
No, I think we can do it.
Or something.
Well, one thing that I was thinking about, and again, this is just kind of spitballing. We'll have to see if we can actually make it happen, but I was thinking about doing a YouTube live version.
Oh, wow.
Where we would just record live straight to YouTube. So you go watch Beard and the Bald live.
Can you imagine the amount of views? I mean, I could say that we could maybe crack the double digits.
I think it could happen.
Wow,
I think we get 26 people viewing it.
I hope so. That'd be a triumph.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah,
What a triumph. It's a triumph.
Yeah.
We've made it,
Wow.
Christopher.
We made it. Yeah.
Oh, fuck. That would be funny as shit.
Yeah,
I think it's a good possibility, and
Sure.
we would do it through the JoBlo Videos channel where we post the podcast now.
We could actually do it at the condo where I'll be staying. There's lots of spots. It's pretty big. We could just do it. There's a nice dining room table. We could do it there. People do that stuff all the time from there.
I was wondering, do you think there's anywhere we could do it like at Sundance?
Very loud around
fine.
there. We could maybe go to
Still have a mic though.
We could maybe go to the press office and see if they could hook us up with something though. That might be a possibility.
I mean, it would be cool to have like, somewhere where we have the city in the background or something, just to kind of give atmosphere.
Sure.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You guys join us. We'll let you know. But we will have a podcast next week. We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. Promise.
Yeah.
Sometimes I break promises though. Usually to my child and break his heart.
Aww.
Just kidding.
You tell him coming with you to Sundance?
Yeah. No.
Sorry.
Be miserable.
Yeah.
Funny thing, actually, today when we started the podcast, I actually hit the video button. So Chris had to see me, and then I saw him, and it's super, super weird because we don't normally see each other. We don't do video. We just do audio. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It made me laugh. But I've met Chris and seen Chris multiple times. I know what he looks like, and he knows what I look like, but it's still funny.
We only met about maybe 2 times though. We met when we had like that weekend that we hung out when you came to town with Berge, and then we saw Ant-Man together. I think those are the only times we've met though in person.
Well, I mean, I'd say we weren't meeting; we were just hanging out at those times.
Yeah, but that was the
night. The night with
that...
Berge was pretty. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, those are the only times though I think we've been in person. Yeah,
that was a wild night. That was a fun night. I remember that night fondly.
Yeah, me too.
Fondlingly, even. Okay, so we got lots of stuff to talk about this week, and we're going to try not to drag this out to 2 hours. Maybe some of you enjoy 2 hours, and I don't mind doing 2 hours, but we know that everybody's got shit to do. But...
Well, it's on Sundays. That's when I do my TV hits, so I got to get myself. There's a blizzard today, so I don't know how I'm going to get to the studio. So I got to plan that out. That's going to take.
Oh man, do you have snowshoes?
No, but I got I'm set. I'll be all right somehow. I mean, my team of dogs, my team of huskies. We all have those here in Canada, so that's good.
Don't freeze to death trying to go talk about some movies at a TV place.
Yeah, the people need my review of Glass. Beale Street.
I have to get there. It's like a Roland Emmerich directed disaster movie of Chris. Yeah. The end result, the goal of the film is for Chris to go give his movie review at the studio.
It's like the day after tomorrow. I'm trying to outrun the ice.
Jake Gyllenhaal is playing you with a shaved head. You love Jake Gyllenhaal.
Well, we might both be interviewing him at Sundance. It sounds like
possible. And we'll be dicks to him.
Yeah, serious.
We'll be like, hey, Jake, Velvet Buzzsaw.
More like Velvet Buzzkill.
He'll just be like, I would just love to see the look on his face.
Yeah, he would be mad. I don't think he'd take it very well.
Yeah, but fuck it, he could dish it pretty well, huh?
Yeah.
Little bastard Jake Jill. We're gonna talk about him in a minute. So this week we got quite a few news items, some interesting stuff to discuss. First thing we're gonna jump into is trailers. So you guys may have caught a new trailer for this movie. I don't know if you've heard of it. John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum.
Parabellum.
Perineum.
Oh no.
Every time I hear Parabellum, I start thinking, what are we
I
talking?
hear it as Pandorum. Pandorum, like that movie Pandorum, that terrible movie with Ben Foster and Dennis
Sure.
Quaid. It's like a space movie.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah, I've never seen it. Never going to. So yeah, the John Wick 3 trailer hit. Looks awesome.
Yeah, I love.
Ing-
I'm glad that they're keeping up the same color scheme from John Wick Chapter 2 because I loved that. It always bothers me when
like
movies are shot
neon,
too. Yeah, it always bothers.
rain slick neon. That's pretty much
Yeah.
the John Wick look.
Well, I hate it when movies are shot too dark and I have to struggle to see them. I like it when they're pretty to look at, and the John Wick movies have been very good looking, and especially the second one. So I'm glad that the third one is going to be kind of shot the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks totally fun. I just think these are just great films. The first John Wick came out of nowhere, and everybody was, including myself, was like, "Holy shit, this is like really fucking great." And then I actually liked John Wick 2 just slightly better.
Yeah, I'm worried about his dog though, the pit bull, because you see the pit bull a lot in the beginning of the trailer, but then he seems to disappear from the rest of it. And there are other dogs, but we know that the dogs don't necessarily fare well in the John Wick universe, so I'm really worried about that.
Yeah, like when John Wick shows up to like the fucking pet place, the dogs are like hiding. They're like,
the dogs don't want to go with him. Like, no,
acting, instead of looking cute, they're like, hey, get your limp, start limping. You don't want this guy. Like, oh, I'm so sick.
Pass. Yeah, exactly.
John Wick's like, this one's cute, and then dog's like, fuck, throws up.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really sick. I'm really sick, bro. You don't want me. Fucking
dog will bite him.
John Wick leaves, and then they all start like jumping around, like, oh fuck, thank God. He didn't want any of us. Oh shit, that's funny. That should be in the movie. That'd be hilarious.
Seriously. Him going to a dog shelter and they're all like, woo!
Stop barking. Stop barking. That's John Wick.
Yeah, no shit.
Stop looking so goddamn cute. You're gonna get taken by John Wick.
Yeah, you don't want it. It's like sausage party with dogs. Like, fuck no. Yeah.
Telling you. It's all a life of heartbreak waiting to happen.
It does look like a cool movie though, and I like Holly Berry with her 2 German shepherds and Ian McShane, and it looks pretty cool. I'm excited to see it.
Was that code for something? Holly Berry and her 2 German shepherds?
I have no idea, but there are 2 dogs in the trailer that are German shepherds that she has, so it's not really code for anything. I
was trying to make a boob joke, and
it does look really cool though.
I mean,
Keanu needs a win after Replicas, though, dude. My God,
I don't think anybody's holding Replicas against him. I don't think anybody expected it to actually be good.
Yeah,
I didn't. I'm not going to hold it against him. I don't hold Destination Wedding against him. I'm like, I know what I'm waiting for, so I know that he's got good stuff on the horizon, and he's got paycheck stuff sitting around, and I don't care. Keanu Reeves is awesome forever in my book.
I do. I love Keanu Reeves.
I've been a huge fan since Point Break.
Oh God, I've been a big fan since Bill and Ted.
Well, I liked him in Bill and Ted, but Point Break was like the game changer when he first got into action. That was
that's when I started thinking of it as a Keanu Reeves movie. Was around the time of Point Break when I started saying, "Oh, I want to go see the new Keanu Reeves movie."
Well, I mean, it was like the kind of the double dose of Point Break and Speed were the ones that
I remember seeing that. I remember seeing that in theaters opening weekend. Johnny Mnemonic. I remember being really disappointed by Johnny Mnemonic. Yeah, if you watch that movie now too, it takes place in 2021, and his brain is capable of holding 80 gigs.
Not the best hard drive, Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah, seriously.
That movie, that movie never really registered. And I remember I watched a little bit of it, and I was like, "This is really bad. Like so low rent."
Well, it was like a Canadian movie though, and like the Johnny Mnemonic, and it's just Canadian. We don't have the budgets for things like that, and it's weird how they got him to do it. I feel like he must have signed on just before Speed really broke, and then it was like, "Fuck yeah, we've got a new, we've got a Keanu Reeves movie in our back pockets." So they, voted this huge movie, and dude, geez. He made a smart move not coming back for the sequel, though. That's for sure. Speed 2.
I mean, I wonder if it would have been better if he was in it. Like if
Well,
they would have
everybody
made
mocked
better
him.
decisions.
Everybody
But
mocked him for that because he went with his band on the road. But it was like in the end, he made the right choice, I think.
yeah, because it was I mean, it was not just not so good or just missing him. It was just terrible.
Yeah.
It was not isn't there's nothing redeemable about Speed 2. It is a terrible fucking movie. There's not a thrilling action scene to be found. It is so ho hum. And like putting it on a cruise ship is just the dumbest fucking idea. It was just stupid. It was like kind of a perfect exercise in like what not to do when you're trying to do a sequel. It's like there's no imagination put into that. Just a bad fucking idea.
I remember liking Chain Reaction back in the day, but that's one that I haven't seen in like about 20 years. I'd be curious to revisit that one.
That was Andrew Davis.
Yeah.
What happened to him? Where did he go?
I don't know. He was always a pretty decent action director, though, back then.
It's aight. Like he did The Fugitive, and that was kind of like everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is so
I really liked actually Code of Silence. I think that's probably the best Chuck Norris movie.
Chuck fucking Norris."
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, John Wick Chapter 3 looks pretty good.
I'll be there. Where you're all going? Fucking looks
How
awesome.
about and then the new Spider-Man trailer came out.
Spider-Man Far From Home. Yeah, it looks good. I think I mean, I like Tom Holland. It's like Marvel, Sony, like
I'm a lot less excited to see it now, though, after having watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, though. Like, I'd be more psyched if it was a sequel to that.
I think they can exist in their own respective universes, and I'm fine with that.
I mean, I saw the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, and I was kind of like, yeah, okay. It looks, I mean, fine. It looks fine.
Yeah.
It looks like a Marvel movie.
That's. I think that's how I felt too. I wasn't like, oh my fucking god, this looks amazing.
It's a Marvel movie. It's probably I'm actually less excited to see it than I am definitely Avengers Endgame, and I'm probably less excited to see it than I am Captain Marvel as well. You know, I mean, I feel like that.
I'm not really. I got to be honest.
More fresh.
I'm not excited for Captain Marvel like at all. I'm gonna go.
Of course,
but it's a movie that's really gonna have to win me over.
I mean, in our industry, you can't really avoid Captain Marvel. That's the thing.
You can. Of course,
you're almost derelict in your duties if you don't go see it. You know,
I mean, it's true, and you know, you could try and be one of those guys that's like, oh, I don't see everything, and I'm like, well, you kind of need to. Like, I've been playing catch up on, all like the Oscar movies. Like, I caught Roma. I watched.
Do you like Roma?
I liked it. I think it's like way overpraised, though.
You know, it's funny. My doctor told me the other day that she really didn't like it. Who reads my reviews, took issue with my review, and she was like, "Well, it was fine, but it wasn't anything spectacular."
But it was fine. It was like I just didn't. I don't think it's like it's like an awards kind of movie, but it almost feels too awards. It's almost like it was made to be exactly that.
Do you know though? I felt that way when I saw it the first time. But then I saw it a second time, and it really hit a lot closer to home. I don't know why there was something.
But that can happen. Sometimes another view will change a perspective, and that's again the beauty of film, which is it changes with you.
I thought that the favorite was overrated. To be honest, everybody loves that movie. I thought it was fine. I think that for that director Yorgos Lanthimos, I much preferred The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer, especially Killing of a Sacred Deer. You know, so I was kind of cool with that one. Did you see The Favorite yet?
I haven't seen it. No, I'm still catching up. Still catching up on everything.
Ben is back. I thought that was really good. I thought that was an underrated one with Lucas Hedges and Julia Roberts.
Yeah, Jimmy O really liked that too.
Yeah, he was right. I thought that was a pretty good movie.
Did you see I saw Black Klansman, which I enjoyed. We talked about that.
Did you see Star is Born yet?
No, I almost blind bought it the other day to catch up, but I think I'm just gonna wait till it's for rent because I don't want to pay $20 for a movie I'll only watch once.
Yeah,
like when it's one that I'm owning. If I'm going to the theater, that's another story. But if I'm basically adding one to my library, it's like I don't know. I just don't want to pay $20 for a movie that if I watch it and I'm like, well, that was depressing and I'll never need to watch that again. Which tends to happen a lot with Oscar movies. They're like,
I don't know if I'd say that Stars. I wouldn't say Star is Born is depressing though. It's pretty energetic. I mean, it's sad, but it's energetic and stuff. I mean, I'd watch it again. I'd watch it again right now, to be honest. Like, I really like that movie a lot.
I don't know. I'm teeter-tottering.
Yeah,
it's $20. We'll see when my paycheck comes in. We'll see how I feel.
$20? Oh my god!
Yeah, so but I'm catching up. I'm getting there. I'm just, it's kind of onesie twosie. First Reformed is next on my list.
Oh
So
yeah, I love that. There's a bunch that I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen Mary Queen of Scots. I haven't seen On the Basis of Sex. I haven't seen there was something else that I haven't seen. Oh, Can You Ever Forgive Me? That's a big one. I need to see that one. But there's not enough time. There's not enough hours in the day.
yeah, I mean, in the end, like who's I? Oh, and I saw Eighth Grade, which I loved. I thought that was
Oh,
just
I
so.
really liked Eighth Grade. But
I
also I've been
actually I watched it with my kid. I watched it and then I watched it with my kid because I wanted him to see it. And
cautionary tale.
but it's like not so much a cautionary tale, but it's like a good discussion
Yeah,
film. And it's like what I liked about it too was that the girl played by Elsie Fisher, it ends on a note, like on a very positive like note, and it also shows somebody, which I really liked, is like they didn't take her down a dark path.
no, no,
they
no, no.
showed they showed somebody that even as like vulnerable and uh you know kind of shy and trying to like prove herself and to be popular, they showed her as somebody that was like following her own path and didn't
Yeah,
compromise,
yeah.
even though you felt like, oh my god, she's going to do something horrible just to
No, no, no.
appease these people. But she doesn't. She stands by her own, by her own values. And I think that's a great lesson in itself, is just to see that even if you're vulnerable and you're scared and you're afraid and you're trying to find your way, you can stand by what you know is right and do the right thing. And I think
Well,
that is like just
I
such a
like
thing. thing.
I like when she tells off the mean girl at the end too about the card game she bought her.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? It's actually a really fun game.
It's really fun for like a rainy day, but you wouldn't know that. Like,
Yeah,
and she's like looking at the ground the whole time, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it doesn't have to be perfect, but those moments will come, and she takes advantage of it. And I just think I think it's a great lesson to show that you can be yourself. And it may not be movie star perfect, in the movies you get like those perfect moments where you don't miss a beat and your words come out perfect and everything hits and it's this great fucking takedown. But in real life that doesn't really happen.
Well,
You
that
have to
was what
go
was
off
good about
stuff.
the movie. It was like a
Yeah,
slice of life. There was something a little bit
exactly.
more realistic. But it's funny, I haven't seen a lot of screeners because I'm busy at home. I've been watching the entire Game of Thrones. I literally,
Yeah.
I literally just finished season 6, and I'm
Oh
pretty
shit.
psyched. But now I got to finish. Now I got to wait because I'm not going to be able to watch season 7 until I get back from Sundance because I can't just stop in the middle of it. Yeah, yeah,
Man,
it is
season 7 is
good
so
stuff.
rewarding too.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Oh
Fuck
yeah,
that show so much.
yeah.
Is this your first watch of
Yes.
everything?
Oh yeah,
Man, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It's
Like I said, I did a whole series rewatch because I watched it
yeah.
all, episode by episode from the very beginning. And then I just watched the whole fucking shebang all the way up through 7 again. And oh my God, it's the most rewarding rewatch I've ever had.
I had watched season 1 and 2, and then I fell out of it in season 3. I don't know exactly why. I think it was when kind of Jamie and Brienne of Tarth were kind of on their own. I found it got a little slow for a while, and I missed a week. And the thing is, when you miss a week on like those weekly shows, it can kind of really screw you up. And I just never went back to it. But then, I'd missed it right just before the Red Wedding was going to happen. And my girlfriend's a big Game of Thrones fan, and she wanted to she wanted to get us up to date so that we could watch the new season as it airs because apparently at her work that's all they talk about, and if she doesn't watch it the night of, it's going to be spoiled.
Mm.
But and I was kind of resistant. Like I've been kind of putting it off, but oh man, it is a very watchable show. Very, very
Uh,
watchable.
for sure. I love it.
You get
It's
bit a couple
and
episodes of that pretty fast.
yeah. And the great thing about it too is that it's not just like dialogue and character. The action and the spectacle are actually fucking on point
Well, I'm hoping
for
to go
that
see.
show.
I'm happy to go see a couple of them in IMAX when
I
when
would
the new
love
season
if
starts.
they put that shit in the theater, I will be there.
Because they do that here. They play a lot of them in IMAX, like usually the series opener, the season opener, and the season finale. So I'm kind of
Oh
hoping.
man.
Like I know that the Battle of the Bastards they showed in IMAX here,
Oh, that would be amazing to see.
but it was kind of Ramsey Bolton busted. Hello, busted.
That
Yeah,
shit's the fucking best.
it's a good show.
Um, so another kind of surprise trailer that hit this week. that was really just and news that kind of came out of nowhere
Yeah.
was Jason Reitman directing a Ghostbusters sequel, and it is a sequel that is following in the footsteps of the 84 movie. And I'm guessing that rolls up Ghostbusters 2 as well.
Yeah.
But apparently is not addressing the 2016 reboot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to follow the lineage from the first two films. Again, I'm assuming the second. Like you kind of have to if you're doing if you're following the first one. And it's going to take place, like I guess in modern times after the 80s. So you got a good 30-year gap in there in terms of like what's happened. And they showed a kind of a teaser trailer that Reitman shot of like this kind of a barn, like a dark, cloudy night with the Ghostbusters music playing, and then you see Ecto-1 inside this barn covered up. And then it's like Ghostbusters 2020. So, and that was about all we saw. And since then, we've heard, news that they're looking for a teenage cast. I've heard rumors that the main character is a 12-year-old girl. And that's really about it. But Sony has kind of prioritized the Ghostbusters brand.
Yeah.
And Reitman taking over, who was the son of Ivan Reitman, who did the first Ghostbusters movie, it's kind of an interesting pass of the torch. And I got to say, I'm more compelled with Jason Reitman's involvement than anything else with the project, because he's kind of like, I dare say, a quote unquote real filmmaker.
Yes.
If you know what I mean. Like, I mean, he's made like these dramatic, quirky, like Up in the Air is actually one of my favorite films.
It's a great movie. And so's Thank You for Smoking and Young Adults.
Thank You for Smoking is amazing. Yeah.
I even really liked his last one, Front Runner. But I will say this, I think he's very inconsistent because he's made some bad movies too, like Men, Women and Children was terrible. I really didn't care for Tully. I know a lot of people like Tully, but I didn't like it at all. I liked her performance, but I didn't like the movie. I really didn't care for Labor Day, and he is very inconsistent.
Labor Day was like, I liked Labor Day, but it was like an actual just straight up romance movie. And I guess I expected it to have his like Reitman signature oddity to it, like kind of the quirky, but it wasn't. It was like a straight like romance novel adaptation.
I felt like he was kind of totally out of his depth with that movie. Like he didn't know what he was doing. And Men, Women and Children was just tone deaf, and it was I don't know. It's weird. And I've always read, he wasn't interested in doing a Ghostbusters thing. So it feels almost cynical because you can't help but notice that Reitman hasn't had a hit movie since probably Up in the Air. Like that was actually,
but Tully is. You could argue that
Tully and Up in the Air were huge. Well, Tully flopped, man. Tully was a disaster.
Right, it flopped, but it's getting like it's like Oscar type buzz or like
Front Runner though never even really opened. Like it had like a couple of screens and that was it. It was a disaster. So it's just kind of it feels to a degree like, oh, I need a surefire hit. I'll do Ghostbusters. I mean, it could be great. He could put a really interesting spin on it. I did like watching the trailer, and I loved hearing the Elmer Bernstein music. That's a bit of a chill. I'm kind of sad to a degree that they're overlooking the other Ghostbusters, just because it's not even necessarily at this point that I love the movie that much. It's just because I fucking hated the people that were super against it, though, like the trolls. Like which ones I'm talking about. Not people that were mixed on the movie, that's fine, but just like the trolls that were harassing Leslie Jones and just that were going crazy because these guys were running amok, dude. I mean, it got really ugly, and it was and that to a degree makes me kind of defensive and like, why the fuck wouldn't they just continue with the other one, but and take it in another direction if they wanted to. But I mean, I'm sure that they have an interesting take on it. I'm curious to see if the original cast comes back. I feel like Bill Murray is the big question mark. If they get Bill Murray, then oh wow, it's pretty exciting. But I do feel like Bill Murray doesn't seem like he's that interested. But I could be wrong. Maybe they have him. Maybe they don't.
Yeah. Who knows?
I'm sure
I mean, it's
because he's been drooling. He's been salivating about doing it for years.
I don't have any doubt that Aykroyd would show up.
Cynically,
and plus with Reitman doing it, I think it's that's probably more of an incentive because these guys know Reitman. They know Jason. So it's kind of like a familiarity kind of thing where it's like, well, okay, I'll support Jason. He's Ivan's kid, and we know him. Or I don't know that they're necessarily close per se, but they know him. And he's family in that regard. So that kind of changes the game.
From a cynical perspective, I will say this though: it makes sense because the studio Sony needs franchises. They're the only studio that doesn't really have a bunch of big franchises, so it's a no-brainer that they would try to relaunch Ghostbusters. I mean, I knew it was going to happen.
I think what they're doing though, and I think this is probably, I don't know enough about the story to like really definitively say, but I feel like they're being a little smarter about it. I think, like, here's the thing: the 2016 film, I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah,
like I had a decent time watching it. It wasn't terrible or anything, but
No.
I will say this: I did think that it was stunt casted. It was gimmicky. And I don't think that's the way to go for a Ghostbusters franchise, because you're locking it into, oh, it's only women. You're like, well, why are you doing that? Like, that's dumb. Like, you can't argue for diversity or equality and then just make it one thing. That's exactly what the original was. It was all men. So you don't win in that way. And I think that what you have to do is you have to find a path that allows the franchise to continue in a way that invites everybody to it and has a clear kind of like, hey, this is what we can do. This is how we can build it. If you want to build a franchise, there is a way to go about it. And you have to have plenty of setup. You have to have plenty of engaging characters, and you need to be able to have mass appeal. That's what makes a franchise a franchise. If you don't have mass appeal, it's not going to work. That's not a franchise. So hopefully, and I'm sure that they know this, that's what they'll do. They'll have a diverse cast. It'll probably be very Stranger Things in that way. It seems like they're kind of picking up on that vibe if it's going to be teenage kids, which is cool. Fine. I'm down with it. Whatever.
I find that boring, to be honest. I don't want to watch a movie about a bunch of kids. I don't, I don't, it's like, I've seen the Goonies. I don't need it again. That's the thing. It's kind of,
well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I like Stranger Things a lot, but I don't like people chasing Stranger Things, trying to do it again. Stranger Things worked, but also you had like an interesting cast. It wasn't just kids.
Well, and they're growing up too,
Yeah,
like those kids are all going to grow up. They're not going to stay teens. But that could be the thing with Ghostbusters too, where, maybe it's a cast, if it's a hit and it continues, you kind of grow up with them. So, and that's kind of the problem they had with the Ghostbusters films. After they did the sequel, they're like, well, now everybody's too goddamn old and they don't want to fucking do it. Yeah. So, you catch them younger. Same thing like with superhero films is like, you cast younger, you cast more unknown or untested, unproven names that you can grow with. That's not going to break the bank every time you try to do a sequel. And I think that's another factor whenever you're making a franchise is you can't hire, let's get Tom Cruise and Denzel Washington and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, we're going to get all these guys in one movie. It's like, that kills the budget. So again, this is just like basic Hollywood fucking economics. If you want to start a franchise, you cannot use a bunch of known A-list stars that are demanding 15 to 20 mil per movie.
You'd have to shoot
it. Not going to work.
You'd have to shoot it on an iPhone or something like that.
Exactly. Well, maybe they get Soderbergh to do a Ghostbusters movie then. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I will say, like, that the trailer and the concept and Reitman's involvement definitely has me more enthusiastic to see what they do. More so than if they were making a sequel to the 2016 movie, because you and I both know that even if they did that, it would just be Troll Universe all over again, and I don't even want to deal with that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's exhausting,
it's just
but
obnoxious. And even if like the movie were good, and let's just be honest, it would not be great. I highly doubt it. It would be, it would be another Paul Feig comedy, and I just don't think that's the right way to go.
Yeah, do we know? We don't know that this one is necessarily going to be any better, though. Like I said, Reitman is
it could be terrible,
very hit and miss. So it could be great, it could be awful, it could be just awful, but it could also be really good. Yeah. So see.
But I will say this: my final thoughts on this is that one thing about Jason Reitman is that he, again, grew up with this in his.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like, it is, whether he liked it or not, Ghostbusters is like a huge part of his life, because just by nature of his father being the director and just like being constantly involved in everything about Ghostbusters, Jason has probably a more in-depth knowledge and understanding of Ghostbusters just from being around his father and the cast and everything, that will likely inform him to make a better film. In
And the
fact, if he
amount of
doesn't,
money that came into his life too, and he was in
yeah.
Ghostbusters too. He was the bratty kid at the party who wanted He-Man.
I didn't know that. That's
Oh
interesting.
yeah, sure.
Well, so I mean, so there it is, and it's like if Reitman can't do it, you know, I'd be kind of shocked and I'd kind of be disappointed because it's like, dude, like that was your dad's movie and you're a filmmaker. Like you're actually a good filmmaker. Like what happened? How did this get past you? So I don't know. I'm not a huge Ghostbusters guy, just to be honest. Like I like Ghostbusters, but
I mean,
I don't think I own any
wow,
Ghostbusters
really?
paraphernalia or
The original is probably one of my favorites, one of my favorite movies, I guess, from when I was a kid at least. And
from
I
when I was
really
a
love
kid.
I love the original. The sequel though, Ghostbusters 2 is kind of, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Anyways, that's enough for Ghostbusters. Jesus.
Who are you gonna call?
Ghostbusters. Or maybe I'm gonna call the Ninja Turtles.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So what's going on? Are they rebooting it or are they doing a third one?
So it's a little unclear, but it sounds like a reboot.
Hmm.
Um, so Form and Fuller, these are the producers that have been with it from the get-go, are saying we're doing a reboot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at Paramount. That's all they said.
I'm very tired just
So
hearing
what
hearing
is
that makes me want to.
so I mean they just rebooted it and did a sequel, and the sequel did not do well. And the original reboot did pretty well, but the sequel didn't. Um, so I'm just like, what do they do? What do you do exactly in terms of like I don't know what you can possibly do. And you know what? I had read this news and I went and I rewatched. I saw on Amazon Prime the first Turtles movie, and I still love the first Turtles movie. It's great.
You mean the original from 1990?
Yeah, like with the costumes and I think it works so well. Um, so I don't know. I don't understand like what they're going to do. Like where do you go from here
Hmm.
for a Turtles movie? They've done the animated route. They did an animated movie. What was it? Out of the oh fucking I remember.
Out of the Shadows, I think, or something like
Yeah,
that. Uh,
out of something
Never
fucking
saw it.
whatever. It's fine. Um, and then actually I think the first Nickelodeon show was actually fantastic. It was
Mm.
fucking great. It was like one of the best. It was just really, really good. And now they have like now they've rebooted the cartoon again. And I'm just like, it feels like the Ninja Turtles are just constantly being tossed into a fucking blender and then being poured into a fucking glass for everybody to drink again. And it's just like, again, it's like, hey, try this one. Here, try this one. Here,
Well,
try this.
it's because they made so much money off of it, they want to do it again. It seems like
Ugh,
it's a,
it's
I,
exhausting.
it is.
So
It's just I
exhausting.
don't feel like the kids these days care about the Ninja Turtles either. I mean, it's who gives a fuck. I really couldn't care less. I find that such a boring thing that
I
they're
like
doing.
turtles. I like the turtles, but yeah, I mean, but I get it because it's like how they've rebooted it so many times. Like, how many fucking times do we need to see that? Like the goddamn. Do we need another fucking Ninja Turtles origin movie? Like that just sounds like goddamn torture. Like why? It's just. I think a lot of people in recent times they complain about, oh my god, is Hollywood out of ideas? They're just rebooting everything, and a lot of times I kind of jump to the defense of Hollywood. Like, well, there's a lot of movies that are actually reboots that you don't even know, and they're actually really good and they're classics. But now I feel like we are getting to a point where I'm like, oh fuck, this is just exhausting. Like it's like you got to go through it all over again. It's like you just push that giant rock to the top of the hill, and then you're like, oh, I made it. And then you look up, and you're like, oh, there's a bigger fucking hill. You got to push the rock back up. You're
Mm.
like, oh fuck. So I don't understand it. I don't get it.
These kids today.
Anyways, I guess we'll see what the fuck happens. I'll just make you review it.
Fuck you.
But, Christopher, I'll also make you review 2 more Mission Impossible movies.
Ba, 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 ba. It's great because it's funny. I was kind of depressed today. I was having a little cry earlier because I was thinking to myself that this summer there's not going to be a Tom Cruise movie because originally it was
Oh, yeah,
supposed
it's
to
supposed to be Top Gun too.
Yeah, but they push it so he can learn how to fly a fucking jet for real. So,
Priorities.
yeah, I get it, but now though, because of that, you're gonna do Mission Impossible, whatever numbers they are, and it's gonna be 2021 and 2022. So in 2020, there's gonna be Top Gun, and then in 2021 and 2022, we're gonna have Mission Impossible movies. So my Tom Cruise card is filled. I will say this: I'm really happy because I love the Mission Impossible movies, especially the McQuarrie ones. But I am oddly disappointed in a certain way because I've talked about this with you a bunch of times. I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan. There probably isn't a bigger Tom Cruise fan alive, and I know that you're a huge Tom Cruise fan too.
Yes.
But the thing is, I really would like Tom Cruise to kind of do something a little bit different though, outside of the action genre. Like
I'd love to see him do a drama, which is
like
crazy. Because
I know that's what
in
he
his
loves
earlier
doing.
years, I used to say, I wish Tom
he'd
Cruise would do an action movie.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I wish he'd do a drama because the
I
guy
know,
can
yeah.
act.
Yeah, I know. I wish he would do like, I'd love to see another A Few Good Men style movie, like a good serious, A Few Good
Born on the
Men.
4th of July, something like
Born on
that.
the Fourth of July is amazing.
Such an intense performance from him.
The Firm. I mean, Rain Man. Rain Man is a great movie. I'd love to see him do something like that, or even, I'd love to see him do something with Cameron Crowe, because I feel like Cameron Crowe, I find it's been a disaster without Cruise, pretty much. But I find Cruise is the one actor that can really make a Cameron Crowe movie work because he's got the sincerity that Cameron Crowe has. Yeah. And I don't think that a lot of actors can evoke sincerity, and not in the way that Tom Cruise can. And that's why, like, Jerry Maguire is a movie that would not have worked with any other actor except for Tom Cruise. Yet with Tom Cruise, it's a classic. And I'd love to see him do something like that. Something a little bit lighter, a little bit softer.
Or something funnier. Like I think he's hilarious in like Tropic Thunder, and he's even hilarious in Jerry Maguire. So I'd love to see him return to something just a little meatier. I love the Ethan Hunt character. I love the action stuff, but it's like I don't want to say I'm getting fatigued by it, but it's like McQuarrie actually has, and maybe he knows this, but there's a lot to deliver on with back-to-back Mission Impossible movies, because I think a lot of people, including myself, like you look at Fallout and you're like, fuck, what do they do next?
Yeah.
Because like what
I mean, I'm sure he's got
Ethan Hunt gonna run in space? Like how far are they gonna take? And how many more times can you see Tom Cruise run at top speed somewhere? Like he's done that in every movie.
I'm sure he's got a good take on it, if they're doing that. But I also don't like back-to-back sequels in general. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I usually find that it's always kind of more like you're watching half of a movie and then another movie, and there's a lot of padding. And
I noticed that a lot with the Matrix sequels.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the Pirates of the Caribbean sequels were a horrible example of that. And even the back-to-back Harry Potter movies, because they were literally one movie split in two. And it was I just don't like that very much. And I hope that this new Mission Impossible isn't one movie split in two. I really don't like it when they do that. But, it could be that McQuarrie's got some amazing idea, though, some fresh, interesting, take on the material. And
it's gotta be something. You're not gonna sign on, because that's probably that's 3-4 years of your life.
He's done two very, very good Mission Impossible movies, though. So I would say that he probably, deserves the benefit of the doubt. And especially if Cruise is coming back. But it's just kind of, I do really wish that Cruise would do something more dramatic. And I'm hoping that Top Gun Maverick will be a more dramatic film, but I feel like it's going to be an action movie, which is kind of sad, because the original Top Gun wasn't necessarily a dramatic movie at all. It's funny, if you watch, there's this new show that's starting on Showtime tonight, Black Monday, that I watched last night. I was on the Canadian version of Showtime. They had like an early preview of it, and then there's this whole scene where Don Cheadle, he's all on drugs and stuff, and he's talking about Top Gun because it takes place in the 80s, and it's great.
I haven't even heard of that.
Oh, it's funny. Yeah, it's a show on Wall Street in 1987 that stars Don Cheadle. It's pretty funny.
Interesting. Yeah. Have you seen a trailer or anything for it?
No, it's very funny.
Interesting. So, anyways, we're getting more Ethan Hunt. We're getting back-to-back Ethan Hunt, and we're getting Maverick as well. So, if you're a Tom Cruise action fan, which of course I am, and
Tom, if you're listening, and I know you are,
and he is,
okay? I know you are, Tom. I mean, I'd love to see a nice drama. Do a good movie where he plays a lawyer again. I'd love to see him play a lawyer again. Nobody plays a lawyer as well as Tom Cruise. Where's Tom Cruise's The Verdict? You know,
he's charming, and then he gets intense, and he's like a great intense guy.
Yeah, look at what Paul.
He's
Newman,
like the short angry guy. He's great. He's great as a short angry guy.
look at what Paul Newman did when he was Cruise's age now. That's what Cruise should be doing. Because if you look at Paul Newman, that's like when he suddenly kicks it up a couple notches, right? Like he did The Verdict, Color of Money, you know,
He did Color of Money with Cruise.
Yeah,
I don't think, but Cruise isn't that old. When Cruise is in his 60s, then maybe. Yeah, and maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe Cruise is. Maybe
I'm sure he's got.
He's got a plan here where he's like. I mean, this is like what I mean. He's like the number one box office star in the world, right? Yeah, him or The Rock or whatever. He's up there.
He has been since like 1986.
I mean, I'm sure he's got some kind of agenda.
Yeah,
you know, he's like he knows what he wants to do. And the thing with Cruise is that, unlike a lot of guys, like The Rock announces like 30 fucking projects, and it's like, well, maybe
Cruise will announce one or two, and he'll actually do them.
And right, exactly what I was gonna say. Like he follows through. He doesn't say, well, maybe I'm gonna do this one, and also I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. He's like, no, I'm doing this, and that's what I'm doing. It's gonna happen. You know, he doesn't fuck around with that stuff. He doesn't like put out false information or tease you with something that's never gonna happen. So. Anyways, we'll see what happens. I love the Mission Impossible franchise. I've loved it since it started. I'll never forget watching that first trailer for the first film, and I would just was blown away with the action stunts where he's like, where the helicopter explodes and he lands on the fucking train. I was like, that blew my mind.
I just, in
1996, that blew my mind. I was like, fuck. I mean, I had that poster hanging in my living room. Like, I fucking loved what that kicked off.
I'll tell you something. When I was in when Mission Impossible 2 came out, I wore my hair like Tom Cruise in that movie for a year. You know,
babe.
When I had hair, you know, I thought he was the coolest. You know, and I was wearing black T-shirts all the time. Like I thought it was super badass. You know,
and you were rock climbing everywhere.
No, and I had the same sunglasses that he had too. You know, like the kind of the Wayfarer wraparounds. I thought they were so cool. I thought he was the coolest in that movie. But and he was. But
no motorcycle. You probably rode like a bike.
BMX. No, I like I was kind of happy when he did American Made though, and I wish he would do kind of more stuff like that.
I don't like American Made that much.
Well, you're wrong, okay? Yeah.
It was fine. It wasn't bad or anything. I wasn't like, oh my god, this is so great.
You know, I'll take your right-wing talk and shit, man, and be annoyed. But when you talk crap about American Made, go fuck yourself.
Right-wing talk. Please. I'm right of center. Hardly right-wing. Fuck, what was I going to say? I was onto something. No, I wasn't.
How wrong you were about American Made?
No. I'm not wrong about it. It's
It's great.
It's okay.
Tom, this. Tom, email me, DM me.
Tom's listening right now. He's like, fucking goddamn beard.
Yeah.
So another thing that's coming back, which is, I guess, not that surprising, is Unsolved Mysteries.
I have to say, Unsolved Mysteries. Okay, so I was born in 81, right? So I watched Unsolved Mysteries when I was a kid, when I was very young, when it was on originally.
As did I.
And that show used to scare the bejesus out of me. I mean, but I watched it every Friday night. I mean, every time I always watched it, you know, and I loved Unsolved Mysteries, but the theme song would come on. And then Robert
Stack's voice, man. That's everything. Shit out of me.
Yeah, he was that Robert Stack was the guy, though, was the reason I tuned in to watch the show, just him talking. And it's on, you know, a lot of the Unsolved Mysteries is on streaming still, and you can see them on, and they still work. You know, the reenactments are really cheesy, but it's just, you know, but that was part of the charm of the show, you know, and I
didn't even think they were that cheesy though.
They are if you watch them now though. But Stack's narration is killer, and it's just I could totally see them bringing back Unsolved Mysteries, but man, you need to get a great host and narrator. And I was trying to think of people that could do it.
I wrote the article yesterday.
Yeah,
because I worked a news shift for Steve, and that was my key point. You know, was that, you know, Robert Stack.
Yeah,
was everything about Unsolved.
The pipes,
his voice,
Stack,
and his, like, you know, his delivery. He's like, what were they doing? And why did they do it?
And why did they do it?
Yeah, like the great pause.
You solved the crime. You
and you're just
maybe
like
you'll have. Yeah, he would say something like, "Maybe you have the answer."
His delivery was so goddamn perfect.
I was trying to think of people that could do it. Somebody said Sam Elliott. That'd be cool, but maybe too much. I'd love to see.
Not Sam Elliott.
Keith David would be my choice, though. I mean, that guy is a voice.
Keith David could do it. That's definitely a good voice.
That whiskey-soaked, chain-smoking cigarette, listening to jazz.
Only if he adds like a motherfucker in there.
Yeah.
Towards the end of everything again, because that would be hilarious. Because he's kind of funny too, though.
Who would you? Well, I'd want him to do it straight. Maybe I was trying, Michael Shannon be an interesting choice. Because he's got like the same spooky, or maybe Christopher Walken, but maybe it would be too on the nose though. Because Walken's the right age. That was how old.
But see, that's the thing is some of them like they've done comedy to a point where it'd be hard to. I think you need somebody that you can take that's got that gravitas that fucking that Stack had.
Walken would be a little too like wow, maybe you've got the answer. I don't know. It could be.
I don't know if you got it, but it's a crime we've got to solve. So
you and me.
Let's see what we can do. I held this miserable crime in my ass.
It's funny. I'm sure that there's an answer out there, though, that there's somebody that's absolutely perfect for it.
Yeah. But they gotta really.
I was watching Game of Thrones this morning. I was almost like, man, maybe Peter Dinklage could do it. He's got a great set of pipes.
Oh man, he'd be great.
I can see that.
Or
it's a sweet gig for anybody though to do. Though all you have to do is
who would be great is fucking Lord Baelish. What's the actor's name?
Aidan Turner. Well, he's doing He's doing a Robert Zemeckis show, Project Blue Book. He would be good.
I know, but he's got a great voice, man. Yeah. He would be awesome.
God, you need somebody like that though, like with a really great voice. Oh, you know who'd be good actually? Peter Coyote.
Oh man, I love Peter Coyote.
He would be good. He's got that great voice too.
He really does have a
voicing the Oscars.
And he's older too, like he's pretty old.
Well, I mean, I was looking at Robert Stack was in his 70s too when he hosted. I remember they used to put all the gauze on the camera to take away the wrinkles. It was always.
I don't know why. Like you should embrace the wrinkles.
Like it was always so. I know that was an 80s thing though. They used to do that. It was always so gauzy. But it'd be great, somebody with authority, because that was, Robert Stack. He had done The Untouchables and stuff. Like he was a pretty big star in the 80s, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s on TV. We kind of look at him now because we all know him for Unsolved Mysteries. But my dad's era, he was huge, and he was really funny in Airplane. But it's funny. You need somebody like with that right,
Yeah,
it almost can't be somebody too famous though. That's the thing. Like,
because they'll they'll kind of get their fame will get in the way of what it is. And I think Stack was like perfectly middle ground in that way.
Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe Ron Perlman or something, but maybe it'd be too much too big of a personality.
Too much personality on that.
Kind of somebody who can disappear into it though. I wonder who else could do Unsolved Mysteries. We're gonna put the question to you, the listener.
Yeah, who do you guys? I'm actually interested. I think somebody probably will come up with a better idea than we will, because there's somebody will think they'll see. I feel like somebody will just say a name. I'll be like, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be like, oh yeah, no doubt.
No doubt. So anyways, it's returning. It's going to be a 12 episode run, done in the same style as the original show. And it's going to be a different topic, like a missing person or paranormal or whatever per episode. No word on when it's going to debut.
I mean, maybe they'll get a CGI Robert Stack or something. I mean, the technology exists.
I feel like we're almost there. And if you can get somebody to impersonate him. So... another remake. Geez, like everything is a remake or a sequel that we're talking about today. Like,
wow, it's almost like Hollywood's out of ideas.
And then the movie we're going to talk about today is a goddamn sequel.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. So, anyways, this is a kind of a short one, but it was a pretty big news item. Anne Hathaway is going to play the main witch in Robert Zemeckis' remake of The Witches. The original person that played that character in the first Witches movie was
Paul. That's not important. Okay, let's get back to Unsolved Mysteries. I just saw one. I just saw a killer recommendation though.
Okay, what?
Michael Ironside.
Oh yeah,
I mean, could you see it? I could totally see that.
Actually, I think Ironside. See that's a name. That's a yes. That would be fuck yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see that. or Lance Reddick from The Wire.
Yeah, Lance Reddick would be great too. Fuck, those are both great names.
Those are good names, eh? These are all off Twitter. Yeah.
Fuck.
Somebody said Udo Kier, but that'd be too much.
No. He's too odd.
I mean, clearly my first choice would always be Don Johnson for that because he's the right.
I think Don Johnson could probably do it. He wouldn't be my first choice, but he does have a voice.
I'd hope he'd sing the theme song though, and the theme song would just be Heartbeat.
You know who would be great, but in a funny way, is Danny McBride.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that though. I don't want them to
like he just plays it straight the whole time and you keep waiting for him to break character and he doesn't. That'd be hilarious.
I want it serious and inside Lance Reddick would be killed. I mean, there's a lot of people from The Wire that could probably do it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Andre Royo probably be.
I really think Lance Reddick though. Actually,
Lance Reddick would be a really good choice.
Because he's got that middle ground kind of like he's not a huge star, but he's recognizable and he's got that great voice.
He's spooky.
Yeah.
He's a scary guy kind of at times, you know. He talks like this.
But I don't know. Yeah, I think
I can see him wearing like a trench coat in like the night with like the mist.
Lance Reddick is my current choice. I like Lance Reddick
with like a trench coat.
That's my name to be
with like
right
the
now.
mist, with all the mist around him and stuff like that. I could totally see it. Maybe you have the answer.
You have the answer.
Yeah.
John.
I remember Forrest Whitaker hosted Twilight Zone on the CW for a while.
Really?
Yeah, but he was kind of like too into it, I guess. Like it's one of those things. Like you have to be aloof. That's the thing. That's why I think Reddick would be great. You know, he'd be into it, but he wouldn't be too into it. He'd be aloof, kind of. You know, this otherworldly type character. Like it needs to feel like that. Robert Stack, though, man, I'm telling you, there was one of a kind.
He really was. You know, it's not that somebody else couldn't do it, but I don't think there's anybody else like him. I think Reddick would be great. I think Ironside would be great.
You know, I'd love it to be, speaking of The Wire, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., but just every time something happens,
shit. He does that. He did that. You know what? He did that in Black Klansman.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was too much of a.
Yeah, it takes me out of it, honestly.
It took me out of the movie. I was like, okay,
every
I
time.
get it. Like I could just see Spike Lee on set going, "You got to do the shit, man. We got to work it in."
He embraces it though. I tweeted to him a little while ago. I was like, I wrote shit and I tagged him, and then he wrote me back saying that's the incorrect spelling of shit. And
he
wrote it down. He's into it.
I used the GIF of it, and he liked it.
Yeah. He's into it. Yeah.
So that motherfucker's on Twitter like, who's using it? I'm gonna like all them tweets.
Yeah. She. Lance Reddick, though, that'd be my choice. That would be an amazing choice.
Yeah, Lance Reddick's the one to beat for me right now. I think he'd be fucking great.
He's got that voice too, and he's spooky.
All right, can we move on to the Witches now, which is big news?
I still care. You know, I've never seen the original version.
Oh, you haven't?
With Angelica Houston? No, I never saw it.
Oh, you should see. It's actually great. It really is. It really.
Well, you know what? I don't care about a Robert Zemeckis.
Fucking nightmare fuel.
Well, yeah, because it's Nick Rogue, but I don't care about a Robert Zemeckis version though. I mean, what has he done lately that was? Did
you not see Welcome to Marwen?
Yeah, I did see it. I don't think you saw it, Paul.
No, I'm not going to. I mean,
I reviewed it for this little website called JoBlo.com because my boss forced me. I know, it was terrible.
Fucking movie.
I sat through it. Oh my god! I went out to go to the bathroom at one point, and my girlfriend said, "You better fucking come back because I'm not sitting here alone." Because I hated it so much.
She hate it. She hate it too.
Oh, I saw another bad one last night that I'm not really supposed to talk about yet, but fuck it. Serenity with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh yeah, I mean we all know.
And Hathaway, who we're talking about right now. Oh my god, that movie is a disaster.
Yeah, we did the junket for it too, but
that'll be a movie that will launch a thousand think pieces. I'm telling you,
really?
Nobody will go see it. It's gonna be a disaster.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'll tell you the twist off the air, and you will not believe it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me off the air. we don't want to spoil it for everybody that's going to see.
You will not
That's
believe,
already standing outside the theater in
you
line
will
to
not
watch it.
believe how stupid it is.
No, I'll believe it, but you can
Oh,
tell me
God.
anyways. So anyways, they're remaking The Witches. That movie for me, like as a kid, I really enjoyed it. And it was always like, it was like one of those movies that you watch that it's supposed to be like a kid's movie, but it's actually freaky as fuck.
Yeah.
When the witches turn into the witches, like they are fucking scary. And it's kind of dark in a way. But it's good. I mean, who knows? Who knows what fucking Zemeckis will do? He's so goddamn hit or miss these days. Like, so
Anne Hathaway is a good choice, though. If you were to do like that kind of movie, I could see
yes,
Anne
I agree.
Hathaway being the
She's
star.
got and the thing is, like, she's a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
So, she could come out and be like this, very much the way it was when Angelica Houston, was in it, where she comes out, she's like, oh, she's like attractive, looks good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, just like takes off her fucking wig and everything, and her nose grows, and like you're like, oh my God, she's fucking frightening. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see Anne Hathaway make that transformation. I think that's what I'm actually strangely most interested in seeing. Even if I never see the movie, I just want to see what she looks like as a witch.
Mhm.
See if she'll be like super freaky. Super freak, super freak, super freak.
I don't know, man. After watching Welcome to Tomorrowland, it's just another Zemeckis movie. Ugh.
I just don't understand what's going on with him, man.
I don't know,
What's
man.
going on?
Just lost it.
I loved Flight though.
I
think
loved
a lot
Flight
of that
too, but
rested
Flight
on
was the
strong
screenplay,
script.
and the
Denzel.
acting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I still love it though. Like
Yeah.
that movie actually makes me cry.
Yeah.
It's great.
I found in a way it was almost good despite him though, because like I thought there was some things about it that were just like very predictable. His song choices were just he overdid the needle drop stuff, it was just non-stop. Every time there was some emotion, that was undercut by a song, where it didn't
Yeah, but
necessarily that.
did you read the script by any chance? Because it's very, I mean, it's a very,
I have the script.
it's a very strong adaptation of the script. Like it's
Yeah.
very, almost like by the numbers.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think
I guess that's
needed,
a credit.
though. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that was the script was great though, and the performance is incredible by
Yeah.
Denzel, and even James Badge Dale has that great scene. Kelly
Yeah.
Riley was really good in it. Don Cheadle, John Goodman.
everybody's great.
It was a really good cast, and I'll give credit to him for assembling an amazing cast and shooting it in a very kind of hard R, edgy way.
Yeah.
Not pulling back on stuff. So I mean, I'll definitely give him credit for that, for making like a legit adult movie and not turning it into like a fluffy, awards movie, the PG-13 version of that might have done, that might have been more. Well, actually, it did really well though. I think at the box office.
I think it did. Yeah, it did pretty well. It's a meaty film, and again, that's why I think it resonates with me as movies. Movies like that, like they speak to me. It's not so much that they're ambiguous; it's that they're complex. It's not an easy movie to say, well, this is what it's about, but it's about a lot of things.
I'll never forget. I brought my buddy to see it. The same guy who threw the person out of the video store for not liking Elephant, by the way, for the listeners, Corey. Yeah, it's funny. I took him to see Flight, and he thought it was going to be Denzel Washington, Robert Zemeckis. He was thinking it was going to be like Forrest Gump or something. And then we watch it, and immediately it's the girl from My Name Is Earl, full frontal. And
what?
Denzel pulls out like a line of coke and does it like it's just like what? He was just shocked. He's like, this is not the movie I thought it was going to be. And loved it. Is like sweating the whole time.
So good, man.
It's great. Yeah, it is a great.
It's just I love the complexity of it. I love when I'm done watching it, I'm just like, I'm kind of like I'm in a weird emotional place when it's over, but like a good way. And I'm just like,
yeah. And I feel like he kind of deserves to be in jail, but at the same time, I also know that he definitively saved all those people. So it's
it's the greatest thing, because this kid is like visits him in jail and he's like, who are you?
Yeah.
And that is like, and then it ends. And I'm like, that is fucking great, because there is no easy answer to that. You can't just say, well, I'm this, I'm that. And that's what's great about it, is he's a complex guy. He's a fucking, he's a drunk. He's a functioning alcoholic. He's a pilot. He's brave. He's complex. He's fucking reckless, like all these things at once. And it's like, how do you answer that question? And Denzel just kind of smiles when his kid asks him that. And he's like, because it's not an easy answer. It's not like, well, this is who I am. And I think that's what I love about it. So anyways, if you've never seen Flight, I think it's a fucking amazing movie. So you should watch it. So maybe it's time to move on to the discussion of the week, which is this movie called Glass, which I saw yesterday
Let's just leave it at it was fine.
or 2 days ago.
It was fine. Not as bad as the critics are saying, but
Yeah,
not great either.
It's not like ironically train wreck.
No.
But
Well,
but it's not great.
I liked it more than I thought I was going to, though, because I'd seen so many super negative reviews that I started to think it was going to be a disaster. Because Shyamalan, when he's bad, he can be really bad. And I was thinking it was going to be like a Last Airbender or like The Happening all over again. But I was surprised because I thought it was actually a relatively decent movie. So, it was. I probably liked it. I probably gave it a grade more than I would have if I hadn't have read the reviews, because the fact is I was expecting it to be so bad, and I was pleasantly surprised at how not awful it was. There are things about it, that don't quite work. I really don't think that Split and Unbreakable tie up that well together. I think that they feel forced. It feels forced to me. I know that Bruce Willis had the cameo at the end of Split, and he always says it was always his intention, but I just don't buy it. It feels like it was something that was done at the 11th hour. And I just kind of, it feels oddly put together, and I mean, you have in the end of Split too, where the Horde, he turns into like a literal monster at the end of Split, doesn't he? I can't remember it that well, but in this one he doesn't at all. It's much more grounded to be more in line with Unbreakable. And it just didn't really work for me as a sequel to both of those movies. I liked the stuff with Bruce Willis and his son. I liked the stuff with Mr. Glass. I liked it most when it was a legit Unbreakable sequel. I don't know if it necessarily is that in line with what Split was.
Well, yeah, and I think with Split, that was their big twist. Well, this is the thing that Shyamalan does now is it's like it's not just one twist, it's two. There's one. So like for Split, it was like, oh, she isn't perfect, so that's why he doesn't kill her. And then and you're like, oh, okay, so that was the big twist. And then it goes on to show Bruce Willis. You're like, oh, and it's in the Unbreakable. And then you get excited. You're like, holy shit, like what they could do.
Well, you also don't have time to think about it at that point because it's in the middle of the credits. So you're like, okay.
Well, I mean, for me, because I knew who it was and I knew all that. Like, there was a lot of people in the theater after Split that were like, I don't get it. Yeah. And then there was those of us that were like, oh, fuck, that's a whole window of opportunity right there that they could do, and then they did it. So for me, Glass ended up being just completely undercooked. It felt like a first draft movie rather than a fully formed and really well thought out film. It really it felt so off the cuff to me, and just not really thought out. It just felt like nuggets of good ideas thrown together. And I didn't feel like the screen time was shared properly. I felt like it was just kind of all over the map. Like Mr. Glass comes in way too late of the film. He should have opened the film. Especially, the movie's called Glass.
Well, he spends the first half of the movie completely,
just sitting in the wheel. And if you think about who he was in Unbreakable, it's like he's this chatty, interesting, engaging guy. And it almost feels like more Unbreakable is more Glass focused than Glass is. And I just feel like he was underplayed. I felt that Bruce Willis's character was both underplayed and overplayed, because you see him doing a lot of stuff, but it was almost like you're like, oh, so he's just superheroing around with this kid being like Alfred and his dad is Batman. And it was just, it just felt too simplistic, and the kid, which, I felt like he was just completely underdeveloped as well. I thought he was good. What's his name? Spencer Treat Clark.
Yeah.
I like him.
Well, he's not a kid anymore. He's in his 30s.
Well, he still looks like a kid. I liked him. I thought he was good, and I actually wouldn't mind seeing him, take on some other roles and see him kind of expand. I think he could handle some stuff, but I didn't feel like we got to know him enough. He just seemed too much of. He's like, I'm just this kid at a computer. Like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Same thing for the girl. Fuck, can't remember the actress's name.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
There you go, Anya Taylor-Joy. She's a great actress, and I just feel like they didn't tap into that well enough either. Like, and she, like, they didn't really explore why she wanted to go to the hospital to talk to the Horde. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like what specifically? She never says. She never gives there. Not that she has to say it. You don't need the exposition, but something that indicates why. I just never got it. I never understood why. Like, what the fuck? Why would you go back and see this guy? That like sometimes people are victims of crimes. They want to confront them, but say that, do that, indicate that in some way, shape, or form. But it's like there's no real clear reason why she goes to the mental hospital for that. And Bruce Willis's character, like who the fuck is this guy? He's not the same kind of complex guy that he was in Unbreakable, where he was kind of like trying to keep it quiet and he was almost ashamed of it to a point, and I just felt like his character was much more engaging in Unbreakable, and now he's just kind of there, he's just kind of like the boring hero guy. And then Glass again, we didn't get enough out of him to really feel any true like connection to him.
Yeah.
And then I felt like the ending, the fighting and everything's going down, and you're seeing all these feats of, I guess, superpowers. You bend a bar, you do some extreme parkour, and I guess you're a superhero. But the review, and we're gonna go into spoiler territory here. I'm sorry. So spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Glass, you need to skip forward.
I feel like most people have seen it at this point.
This is your chance. So anyways, the big, twist is that Sarah Paulson's character, who is trying to convince these guys that they're basically fucking lunatics, that they're not really superheroes, is actually part of like an organization that is trying to basically kill anybody that has superpowers because they know that superpowers are real. And she says for like 10,000 years, the organization has been around, and that their job is to kill the superheroes so that to keep balance, so that there is no superheroes that ever emerge. And they kill all of them. They kill fucking Bruce Willis, they kill the Horde, and they kill Glass. Like, everybody fucking dies because they have to, because that's part of this organization's job. And they all have little tattoos that say that that's their job. And they meet in restaurants where everybody gets quiet.
Yeah, it's silly.
Right. It's just silly. I just found it just really kind of, that's the secret. That's what we're going with. Okay.
Yeah,
it just didn't. It didn't come across.
It wasn't a disastrous idea though.
It wasn't disastrous, but it was kind of like so like. It just didn't feel earned.
It's just kind of wrapped up really fast, and it was fine.
Yeah, and like her like going, and like Sarah Paulson going to talk to each one of them, like, did I almost? It's almost like, hey, did I almost convince you that you were crazy? No? Okay, well, you're gonna die anyways. Bye. It's just kind of like,
I didn't want to kill you, but I guess you're gonna die.
Hey, it's almost like she wanted to like, it's like when you go to GameStop and buy something, like, and at the bottom here is a survey. You can tell us how we did today.
It is kind of annoying that after all this build up that Willis, is just killed so easily. And
yeah, she's like looking at him. And if you look at that scene, and I was like, because I remember I took a note where he's like being drowned in that pool, which they foreshadowed earlier. And it's just so silly. They're like, they showed the hole in the ground and you note it. And I'm like, okay, so that hole's going to mean something later. And the hole's going to be filled with water. That's where he's going to be drowned. Like, okay, fucking groaner. But while she's drowning him and he's like up for air for a minute, she's like, hey, if you can just go ahead and do that survey for me, how I did. Did I convince you that you were not a superhero? Okay, thanks. Continue dying. And then she walks away, and then he like, his head just slowly that's back to the water, and then they just finish drowning. It's just kind of laughable, man. It's like wait, that's how he's going out? Fucking stupid. I just didn't like that part. I thought it was kind of like, oh, so no, so you're gonna stick with that, huh? Nobody likes to see like the heroic guy die, and sometimes they do. And I guess if the sacrifice is worth it, it's cool. But in this one, it's like, oh, so he just gets drowned by some nameless SWAT dude with a fucking clover tattoo on his wrist. All right.
Yeah.
And then, with the Horde, he gets shot. Fine. And I don't know. It didn't come together, and Glass just gets punched around and he just dies. And, then his big secret was, oh, I live streamed everything.
Yeah. It is kind of disappointing though.
And then, the end part where they're all sitting, the people that are connected to each one of those people, they decide to go to the train station for whatever. I guess that's the place where news breaks. They decide to go to the train station and sit around to see what happens when the news breaks, I guess, to see people react. And I felt that like the people reacting to the news was not genuine. There's like people like stopping in their tracks and like looking around crazy, like what's going on? It's like I don't think that would be the reaction to that. They would just be like, I think people would be more like kind of stern and sitting down and kind of trying to make sense of it rather than looking around like a fucking earthquake is about to happen. It didn't really make sense to me. And it just, I get what Shyamalan was trying to do in that moment, but I didn't buy it. So it was just kind of like, it was just so basic. I guess it just didn't work for me. And I kind of expected that, or hoped rather, for something a little more in depth, something a little more, I don't know, cooler. It just wasn't.
I mean, in the end, it was a disappointing movie.
Yeah, I think that's like that's really the best way to look at it. Is it was just it was a disappointment. It didn't work. It didn't work as well as it could have. So it wasn't like the worst experience I ever had at the movies, but you know, it's not memorable. I don't ever need to see it again. And I do think that if you're on the fence about seeing Glass, I think that maybe I think everybody should decide for themselves. But here's just my advice. Okay, so you do what you want, of course, and you should. But if you really liked Unbreakable and you really like Split, maybe just never watch Glass. Because the truth is, it does kind of sully the legacy of those films in a way. I mean, it's just to me, it's a very unsatisfying close to those characters. So I think it's best left to just kind of make up your own mind what happens afterwards for those characters.
In more exciting news, I'm looking around online and they just put out the new there's a new Blu-ray restoration of Waterworld, which has got which has got this thing called the Ulysses cut, which is basically it's a 3-hour version of the movie that runs like 40 minutes longer than the theatrical. And the only way that cut existed before was the TV version that aired a little while ago, but it was censored. But the Ulysses cut basically was done by a fan, where he put together all the stuff that was in the TV version and then reintegrated all the censored shots. And apparently the studio, they liked what he did and they finished it for him. And now this new, like they did like the legit version of it, like a restoration of it. Now Arrow Video put it out and it's in the UK and I think it's coming here too. And it's pretty cool, man. It looks pretty awesome. I'd like to see that movie again. I haven't seen that in ages. Waterworld. It's been
I love Waterworld. I love it.
Like a feature length documentary too, apparently. And I mean, I'd just like to see that, like a modern day. I know. I'd like to. It'd be an interesting movie to revisit, I think.
Yeah, I love fucking Waterworld. I just think it's a blast. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that wraps it up for Glass. I really don't have anything else to say about it. Just pretty disappointed overall. Just didn't come together for me. And I will say this: it's interesting is I see quite a few people that did love it, and that's great. Like honestly, I don't begrudge anybody. If you loved it, awesome. I didn't. That's fine. But some people are loving it. So
yeah,
again, this is it. I can see how it would be divisive in that way, and this is why I say you have to go and make up your own mind. You have to, you can't take my word for it. You can't take Chris's word for it. You may agree with me on certain things or a lot of things even, but in the end, you still have to go make up your own mind. And I know that a lot of people are like, well, I'm trying to like wonder if I should go spend $50 at the movies. And trust me, I get that. It's an expensive endeavor. I'm toiling over spending $20 to watch A Star Is Born. So I totally understand that. But the sad truth, I guess, is that, you have to decide for yourself. It's the only way you're going to know. And nobody can decide art for you. You have to do it yourself. So anyways, some people are liking it. Some people are not. I'm one of the not crew. So,
and I was in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was fine. It wasn't like the worst experience I've ever had. It was just kind of like, I feel like there were so many nuggets of great stuff that it could have been. And they didn't follow those. They didn't pull those threads. There's just it was lacking in depth. There was no depth to Glass. But I will say James McAvoy was amazing again.
Oh yeah,
what a great role for an actor,
Well, I mean, I feel that's an actor's dream role. I get to be 13 people in one, great. So, have you got any listener questions this week, Paul?
Yeah, I'm looking now. Sorry. Fuck, I got all this glass stuff going on in my feed. People are still talking about this shit. People arguing with each other. I love when people get in fights in my in my Twitter feed. And I'm like,
It's
wait,
just
what are
like,
they talking about? And I'm
yeah,
like, oh, this doesn't have
I
anything to
know.
do with
Oh,
me. They're
no.
just like, they've gone off the rails into their own fight. So I'm just gonna see what I can dig out here. So we got a couple from the actual post that I put up that said we were recording. Thoughts on Holmes and Watson? Didn't see it.
Oh,
Chris hated it.
terrible, terrible, almost unwatchable.
Another question from Fadil, same thing. Do you think Penguin is a strong enough villain to carry a Batman movie, since the rumor is that he will be in it, in the
No,
new one?
I think Penguin's a very boring villain. I think they did it well in Batman Returns, but at that point wasn't strong enough to carry the movie either. It was essentially a Catwoman movie, and I loved, and I thought Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman was
I
amazing
think
in
that the
Batman
biggest
Returns, but
problem with
Penguin's
Penguin
boring.
is that he never feels like a viable threat to
Yeah,
Batman. Like he's
and
just like,
Riddler too. Riddler's very boring too. I mean, I'd like to see if they're gonna do, if they're gonna do a Batman. If they're gonna do a Batman movie, I mean, to me, it's almost like the Joker is the villain. I mean, I know that there's too much going on with Joaquin Phoenix. I think they should wait and see though if the Joaquin Phoenix movie does well. Just fold that into the new Batman, and make that part of your DC
who
universe.
knows? Maybe that's part of the plan.
Yeah.
We don't really
So, I
know.
mean, I feel like that's the villain, and if you're not gonna do Joker, I mean, I don't know.
I guess, and they could always do that. The Joker movie could be huge, and then maybe they're like, fuck, maybe the end stinger for the Batman movie is it's that Joker. Who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows? I mean, there's so many ways you can go. Um, I don't know. I'm very intrigued by Matt Reeves' version of the Batman and whatever it's going to be, and we're going to find out stuff this year. What's going to go happen with Batman? I know everybody's kind of look. Batman's a huge cultural icon, and I absolutely understand why people are so excited and anxious and hungry for information about it. It'll come. It'll come this year, I guarantee you. And we'll get a better beat on where they're going with it. But in terms of Penguin, I think that the biggest problem with him, again, to reiterate, is that he's just not a physical threat to Batman.
Yeah.
Like you think Penguin, you're like this short, fat dude. Like Batman, just kick him in the fucking head and knock him down. Like, all right, you're done. Like the Penguin, just has to be something else. And they really tried with Batman Returns. Like he was like a monster,
Yeah.
but Batman still just backhanded his ass at one
Yeah.
point. Now it's like he just falls back and like hits buttons to fire off missiles from his penguins. And
It's funny. Usually Kevin Smith annoys me, but I really liked what he said. They should make a Batman movie with Michael Keaton, where he's the old Batman. Do something like that, like the Dark Knight Returns.
I'm so please stop. I no more Dark Knight Returns. Fucking, I'm so I'm just
or
annoyed
just
with
that, just that another movie with Michael Keaton as Batman, dude. I want to see it.
That would be fine, but just
Old
not. Everybody's like, oh, we need to have Michael Keaton and they need to make Dark Knight Returns. I'm like, please stop trying to make Dark Knight Returns happen again. Like Zack Snyder toyed with it, and that's kind of a bit of the concept for his Batman. His Ben Affleck Batman is the older, grizzled Batman that's been around, not quite as old as the Dark Knight
40,
Returns
right?
Batman.
Yeah,
but that was the idea, and he's like pulling iconic shots from Dark Knight Returns and putting them in BVS, and it's just kind of like, come on. There's already a great animated movie of Dark Knight Returns, and the budget that it would take to make Dark Knight Returns would be fucking astronomical.
Yeah,
for live action. So, anyways, we'll see. I don't think Penguin's going to be just the main villain, though. I think there'll be multiples for the Batman.
I mean, we'll see.
Let's see. Ulysses, Watchmen's coming to HBO. Are you guys excited or optimistic?
Very,
Both.
very excited.
I'm both.
I think it's going to be great.
Very much looking forward to seeing what they do. I think it's going to be exciting, and I love that it's not another just adaptation of the graphic novel. I love that they're doing their own thing with it. So I think it's cool.
I hope that I hope it's good. I'm excited. It's got a great cast, including Don Johnson. He's in it. He's gonna be great. He's gonna be fantastic. He's gonna win an Emmy. It's gonna be amazing.
He's gonna be fantastic. He's gonna break records.
It's gonna be great. Yeah.
Corey wants to know, and this would be fresh for you. What's your guys' guess on who sits the Iron Throne? And he says, I say no one.
Yeah, I say no one too. Actually, funny enough, I mean, I haven't seen season 7 yet. I kind of know where it's going. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's kind of the way it's going. I think it's almost not that important anymore. I mean, it feels to me that when you're watching that show that the battle is less. I find that I just finished season 6, right? So I'm behind, but I feel that the Lannisters would be relatively easy to overthrow, especially if Jon Snow and Daenerys team up. But everybody cool is with them, but I don't know where it goes in season 7.
I feel
Um,
like maybe the Iron Throne just doesn't become a thing anymore. Like maybe
yeah,
one of the dragons melts the throne down to nothing and it doesn't
well,
even exist.
it seems like
And
they're building a new world though in that show. That's the thing.
I think that's probably what will happen. I think Jon Snow will go back. I think Jon Snow will survive, and I think he'll go back to Winterfell, and I think he'll probably rule from there and be king in the North. I almost feel like he may have to kill Daenerys because I think Daenerys will be so her whole drive has been to rule this kingdom. And maybe, just maybe, that's not good. Nobody's
Well,
really stopped to think that maybe she shouldn't rule. Maybe none of them should
the
rule
thing about her
because
is
why does she want to rule so badly? You have to think about this.
well,
Why
it's
does
not even that. It's that she's become this kind of messianic figure too, and
yeah.
it's almost like but and you're getting into stuff though with like the gods and stuff like that, and she's kind of immortal, and he is too, in a way because he's been brought back, and it's interesting. I'm almost less interested in that though. I mean, I'm just I love the dynamics of the characters, right? And I'm very curious now to see season 7, which I haven't watched yet, because I know that it teams up Snow and Daenerys and Tyrion and Tyrion. I love all of that, but it's funny. I haven't even really thought about that. I mean, it's definitely not going to be Cersei. Could be Sansa, although I haven't seen season 7. Maybe I've said something that's completely out there. But I feel like they are kind of building towards a universe where that doesn't necessarily matter, and it feels like that idea has gotten less important as the show's gone on. But again, I haven't seen season 7, so I could be totally off the mark.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to ruin anything for you there. I mean, there's stuff that happens, but uh yeah, I mean, as far as my theory goes, I think Jon Snow lives and Daenerys dies. I think she has to die. But maybe I'm wrong, but I could be totally wrong, but that's just my feeling. I feel like she is going to be almost completely corrupted by the power and by this desire to rule, and I feel like that is going to be her downfall. It's like she has this whole thing where she's like, I am born to rule.
Yeah,
I'm
it's my
supposed to
yeah.
rule. It's like, maybe that's not the right attitude. Like she's got this kind of like, I'm the chosen one kind of thing. And you look at Jon Snow, he was really the best person to rule because he doesn't want to, you know?
Yeah.
He has made some really tough, difficult decisions, and he's literally died for his decisions. Whereas Daenerys is kind of like not done that. She's had everybody else die for her, and her sacrifices have been, I mean, pretty minimal overall in the grand scheme of things. Everybody else is paying the price for her, but she's not paying the price. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
It is an excellent show though, and it reminds me, I find HBO does that so well though. These ensemble shows where you can kind of, right now I'm interested in this character, right now I'm interested in this character, and each kind of episode has your little time that you spend with them, and they've always perfected that. I mean, I've loved that about HBO from the start. I really loved the show Oz when it was on. That was like the
Yeah,
first, I think that was the first great show when we're talking about the modern age of like the golden age of TV. Oz is the one that started it all, not The Sopranos, even though Sopranos is probably my favorite TV series of all time. But I think Oz was the precursor to all that. But then The Sopranos did kind of the same thing, and and I feel like Game of Thrones is almost a logical progression for them from The Sopranos. I don't know what the prequel series is gonna be like though, because it feels almost like they're pushing it too much. Like I feel like these great shows are always kind of almost an accident, and I think Game of Thrones is like that too, where nobody expected it to become the thing that it became, and it's hard to manufacture that, and but anyway, it is a great, great, great show, and I mean, I can see why people are so excited for the new season, and
yeah,
also the thing is they don't make too many of them, I mean, that's the thing with Walking Dead, is that there's so much of it, and it's always on, and I feel like I'll never go back and rewatch Walking Dead because there's just too many fucking episodes, but Game of Thrones was relatively easy.
Yeah.
To watch. It was bingeable.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, lots of it's going to be a hell of a year, man. Again, like when we were talking last week about what were our most anticipated of
We'll
2019, like
I'm sure we'll be talking about it on the podcast too.
For sure, man. We'll be doing week to weeks on that. And I'll be reviewing it too for the site, so which I'm excited to do because I love this show so much.
Yeah.
I'll be very sad when it's over because I don't know.
I'll be sad when it's over too.
It's not that there aren't other things to watch, but that's my favorite show of all time. So it's gonna be a hard one.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it for this week. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for joining us.
Keep yourselves, locked on to look at I guess at Paul's Twitter and our new Instagram account too, Beard and the Bald. And thanks to your girlfriend, by the way, for setting that up. Very nice of her.
Yes.
I'm excited to see you at Sundance, and I think we'll do a nice live podcast and some exciting stuff for the website.
We'll do some fun stuff.
Yeah,
we'll definitely do some fun stuff. It'll be cool. And yeah, as he said, if you're listening, please, and you have an Instagram account, please go to Instagram and follow us. It's under the Beard and the Bald podcast. And we will be posting on there. And I got some other ideas I'm going to talk to Chris off air about for that. But we're going to try and update that and make it fun and just post some fun stuff in there. We're going to do some news updates in there. We're going to try and do some story feeds as well. So, and now all that's coming, we just started it. So, but please give us a follow. Please give us a review on iTunes, give us a review, give us a subscribe, give us. It actually, it all just helps, just keeps us going. So, all it takes is a click, and your click means a lot.
Yeah.
So anyways, thank you for joining us. It's been lovely. And just remember, maybe you can solve a mystery.
So good. That's scared. Okay, chill up my spine.
See you in your nightmares.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right, thanks for joining us, guys. We will see you next week from Sundance.
Join me as we begin a fascinating new season. Perhaps you may be able to help solve a mystery.